Dear all, first of all, thank you for listening to us. We are the Decolonize Leuven group who created the We Object project, a series of 3 conversations about the legacy of colonialism in our everyday lives. In order to structure this presentation, we first have an introduction done by me, with a brief overview of how we approach this intricate process. Afterwards, Margot will go into more detail about how we established it through the process, our vision, and much more aspects. Afterwards, Tamiwa will go into our evaluation of the project and the future of it. The decolonization group is a group of 7 students eager to address and contribute to the decolonization process both inside and outside the academic sphere. We aim to reach a wide and diverse audience, trying to break down barriers for those who didn't yet know the decolonization process. Thereby, we focused on daily realities, personal stories, and intimate conversations. We opted to not have a moderator, to let the conversation flow naturally between our speakers and their objects. Oops, yeah. Of course, all of this wouldn't have been possible without our partners, which especially the Buren as our main partner, who contributed to the project from the beginning.
Now we will elaborate on the process a bit. So through regular Zoom meetings with the whole team, we gave shape to the project together, and we also frequently checked in with our partner organizations to make sure that we were on the same page. And at first, when we were still in the early stages of brainstorming, there weren't any fixed roles, and we all contributed where we could. And this grew into a clearer division once we got to the more concrete planning phase. And we then divided the tasks into a number of main to-dos, which consisted of external communication, finances, logistics, and the hosting. And in this way, it was clear to us who was responsible and also more efficient for our partner organizations as they knew who to turn to in case of questions. Again, this wasn't a strict division as we all jumped in to help each other out if needed. So the horizontal organizational structure was very much inherent to our process. So throughout the process, our main focus was on the following themes, as they were the key elements and aims of our concept. So we wanted to create awareness with a broad audience in a low threshold way. We were thinking about identity, of course, and the question of who tells the story and which stories are told was, of course, a central one. The question of language was also something that we struggled with for a while, as language can also function as a power structure, and we wanted our conversations to be as accessible as possible. Our focus was on shining a light on counter-narratives, and we were looking for alternative stories to the hegemonic discourse. We very much wanted it to be an open dialogue between our speakers as well as with the audience, and this is why we chose to not directly moderate it, but work with prompts on a screen. And there was also the possibility for the audience to ask questions in the chat. The theme of Black History Month this year was the archive, so we wanted to add inspiring stories to a collective memory. For a visual identity, we wanted our communication to be consistent, recognizable, and authentic, and it had to communicate our vision while making it appealing to a broad audience. So in search for a graphic designer, we came up with a shortlist of 10 designers of color, and in agreement with our partner organizations, we chose Yama. For our speakers, we wanted to work with upcoming voices, specifically people with an artistic practice, as we were interested in other kinds of knowledge production, not necessarily examined by academical institutions. So we paired the speakers based on their artistic practice, so a performer with another performance artist, a writer with another writer. And sadly, Babs Gons had to cancel at the last minute, but we were so happy that Ruth could still join us. Central to our concept were, of course, the objects, and as we had hoped, the conversations were a kind of natural result of the speakers presenting their objects to each other, which always resulted in a very interesting exchange of ideas. For example, in the conversation between Luca and Lisette, they explored their personal connection to language and its relation to identity and belonging. And Lisette brought a few books, all in different languages, on which she reflected beautifully. I keep trying to make language my own, but it's never truly mine. So the talks were all shot in the studio of Beurschouwburg, which fit our concept incredibly well with its cozy and intimate atmosphere. And here you can see some behind-the-scenes images.
So I'm going to talk about the evaluation. So our partners were very happy with our professionalism, the event concept, and the delivery. Our speakers were also commented on how much they personally enjoyed the conversation, and the wisdom shared and the creation of a calm, comfortable, and intimate space. We as a group are very proud of some particular aspects, which were accessibility for a broad audience, non-academic knowledge production, and adding fresh perspectives to the discourse. I think within Black people, Indigenous peoples, and people of colour communities, conversations and work around decolonisation are not new. And based on the makeup of our group and our partners and their audiences, we really wanted to make sure that our event was like a meaningful contribution to the work that has already been done. And I think we did that. The horizontal communication of the Decolonise group was both a positive and a negative aspect. So it allowed us to all have equal stakes in the project. We could migrate across different tasks and areas that we enjoyed or had expertise in or wanted to learn more about and improve. But it also meant that it was quite hard to make some decisions, that things didn't always get done on time or as quickly as they could have because there was no project manager or someone overseeing the whole project. The afterlife. We're really proud of the concept of We Object. We don't know what the future holds for it. We know that it will remain on the Beurschouwburg website and on the Black History Month YouTube pages because their theme this year was archive. But we are excited to see what else we could do with it, and because of the concept, it can lend itself to a wide range of themes and kind of formats as well. And thank you so much for listening. A huge thank you to all of our partners, and a special thank you to Nora from De Boon, Eric from Beurschouwburg, and our graphic designer Yema.
So the first question, what we would have done differently, was maybe the communication, I think we all agreed upon. So because we worked with a lot of partner organizations, the communication between them was a little bit difficult sometimes. But also our own communication through social media could have started sooner to make sure that we reach the broad audience that we wanted to reach. I think that's the main point.
So collaborating with so many partner organisations was both a good and a bad, or a challenging thing, I should say. It was really good because, especially we got so much support from De Boon, like as a team, and also without Beurschouwburg we wouldn't have had a space to film, and their tech team and their communications team were really good and really supportive. But it was also quite challenging because there was a lot of partners to kind of coordinate with, line up communications with, organise meetings, respond to emails, and because we were a big team as well, it just meant there was a lot of people and it could be harder to get things done.
Most memorable aspect for us, I think, are the conversation in themselves and how the speakers felt afterwards about the conversation and how the intimate feeling of the conversation. I think that's the most memorable and our favorite part as well about the whole thing.